So today, we're going to dive into a viral video that really flips a common script. It was actually sparked by a viewer's pretty painful story, and it asks this really challenging question: when is a woman very wrong? It's a look at a pretty controversial counter-narrative that got a ton of attention, so let's just get right into what it had to say.
Okay, so right out of the gate, the source video just lays it all out there with this statement. It starts by acknowledging what we all tend to think, that the man is usually the abuser, and then it just completely pivots. And that phrase, very, very wrong, that's not an accident. You can tell it's meant to be provocative, to make you question a really deeply held stereotype from the very first second.
So what kicked all this off? Well, according to the creator, it all started with a really heartbreaking email he got from a male viewer talking about his relationship. And this is important because it means this whole thing isn't just some abstract idea. It's rooted in one person's actual, painful experience. The entire video is really framed as a direct response to a cry for help.
Alright, so this gets us to the core mission of the source material. What it's really trying to do is explore situations that go against that simple, common story of a male aggressor and a female victim. The video basically sets out to analyze these specific moments where, according to its creator, a woman's actions are not just wrong, but very, very wrong.
So the first big scenario they dig into is all about romantic relationships, and it explores this really difficult idea. How can love, something that's supposed to give you strength and support, get twisted into a tool for control? Let's take a look at the destructive cycle the video lays out.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the source breaks down this pattern. It all starts with someone in love, overlooking mistakes, giving their partner another chance, just hoping they'll change. But here's the twist the video points out. That kindness isn't seen as love. It's seen as a weakness. And that leads to more and more control, cutting the person off from their friends, their family. The whole point the source is making is that this kind of dynamic just can't last. It's basically built to fail.
So after laying out that whole destructive cycle, the creator gives this piece of direct advice, not just to the guy who wrote the email, but to everyone watching. It's really all about empowerment. The source is arguing that your feelings for someone shouldn't be a vulnerability they can exploit. Instead, real love should make you stronger. It's basically a call to step back and question any relationship that's consistently making you feel weak.
Okay, so now we get into the source's second big point. And this is really controversial. It's the idea of weaponizing victimhood. The video makes the claim that the very systems we've designed to protect genuine victims can actually be hijacked and used as weapons to hurt innocent people.
And to make this point, the creator tells this personal story from his college days. Apparently, a male student refused to give a donation to a student union member. So in retaliation, she allegedly just made up an accusation that got him publicly humiliated in front of the principal. The source uses this story to show how a claim can become a tool for revenge and control.
So this really lays out the core conflict the video is talking about, right? On the one hand, you've got these vital protections our society has put in place to help victims, and that's absolutely crucial. But on the other hand, the source argues, there's this potential for those same protections to be exploited, to be used to file false cases that can absolutely destroy lives, all for personal gain.
And the consequences of this alleged misuse? Well, they're severe. We're not just talking about one person's life getting ruined or them falling into depression. And this is a really critical point the video makes. These actions also end up damaging the credibility of real victims, people who genuinely need that help and support. The ripple effects, according to the source, are just devastating, tearing entire families apart.
All right, for the third and final scenario the source brings up, the focus shifts away from romantic partners and zooms in on the family. Here, the video talks about parental responsibility and what the creator calls the ultimate betrayal, a parent abandoning their own child.
So the source is really careful to draw a line here. Getting a divorce? That's presented as a legal right. If you're miserable in a relationship, you should be able to leave, no question. But, the video argues, the great wrong happens when a parent, who often has the legal right to custody, just abandons their child for their own selfish reasons, with zero thought for that kid's future. That, in the creator's view, is the unforgivable act.
So, after laying out all these really tough scenarios, the video gets to its most important part, the conclusion. And you can tell the creator knows exactly how these examples could be twisted or taken out of context, so he makes this final, very passionate plea against making broad generalizations. And this chart, it pretty much sums up the whole final point. The video is arguing that all these destructive behaviors it's been talking about, that's the work of a small minority. The big slice of the chart, the vast majority, represents women who are dedicated and committed to their families and their relationships.
And here it is, plain and simple. The creator is explicitly asking the audience not to use these stories to disrespect or write off all women. It's a call for nuance, asking everyone to remember the many who dedicate themselves to building up their families. So the key takeaway here is that this isn't meant to be an attack on a whole gender, but a critique of specific harmful actions.
So, when you boil it all down, after all the tough examples and controversial ideas, what's the one message the source wants to leave us with? It really comes down to this universal principle. Judge people based on who they are and what they do. their character, and their actions, not on big, sweeping, and often damaging stereotypes about their gender.
And that leaves us with a final, really complex question to think about. This whole topic really forces us to grapple with a delicate balance, doesn't it? How do we build systems that protect the people who are truly vulnerable, without accidentally creating tools that can be turned around and used to harm innocent people? There's no easy answer, and it's definitely something worth thinking about.